All right, guys, welcome back. Today we're going to do Ghost issue number 8 from Ghost Machine Image Comics. We're going to dive right in because we're going to continue the series. I like it very much. The only downside that I have with these comics, it's way too short. I'm not sure how many pages, but it's not 32. And I don't know. There's something about comics that thinks, okay, we need at least 32 pages or 28 or let's say 32, right? I believe that's the sweet spot. I mean, I can remember that the golden age of comics. That's how I see it. We have a lot of 32-page comics, back in the day. But I can keep reminiscing about that things back in the day is better. It's a taste, right? My preferences go back to the 90s or something. But we have different kinds of qualities. Now, I think Geiger is fantastic. I wish there was just more pages. Okay, let's stop ranting. Anyway, so this is by Geoff Johns, and this time we have Pelletier, Andrew Hennessy is the inker, and John Caleese is the color, etc., etc. Anyway, who's the cover artist? Derrick Chew, or is it Leonardo Colapitro? Derrick Chew. All right. Anyway, so for those who don't know, this is a post-apocalyptic. Well, it's not really a superhero book. It's just Mad Max, but then with nuclear-powered people, and it seems that there are crime bosses in Vegas. I've never been to Vegas. Is that in the Nevada desert, by the way? I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, we're just all crime bosses. And in the last issue, I believe there was the son of the queen who was killed by Tariq Geiger, right? And they want to have his head, right? And this guy is Karlov, I believe he was in the 80-page Giant last year or 2 years ago, I'm not sure. But they all want to have a piece of his, body. So he wants his brain, he wants his head, right? And there's also a 7 remnant, because there are crime bosses. Every piece of, let's say, Las Vegas, every district has a crime boss. That's how I think you say it. And she was in the 80 page as well, I think. Anyway, and but she's not here. And so they believe that, so this hunter guy says that she made her loyalties clear to us, Barney. When the glowing man is under our control, Milky Way will be incinerated, along with President Griffin and his decaying administration. All right, so the meeting is adjourned, and the art looks fantastic. Still, I said it before, with other books where Paul Pelletier, years ago, he was just a filler artist most of the time. And I'm very glad that he has more opportunities with Image, Ghost Machine, and Image, with G.I. Joe and other books. So I'm very happy with that, right? So Geiger, Tariq, and Nate, the Nuclear Knight, and Barney, and the zebra creature, is bringing these kids home, and they are going to some kind of a tunnel, and then Barney is starting to bark, right? And so Nate says, "Hey, don't remove your hoods because he needs to power down, otherwise you do get irradiated." He says, "Welcome to our home, Mr. Geiger. Welcome to Grover's Corner. Wow, look at it, Mr. Geiger, real town, like the ones before the war." So this really reminds me about that, not Evil Dead, what I'm saying, the Walking Dead episodes, when we have this, I don't know, the middle of nowhere, there's a town and some kind of a governor, and there's, he's the ruling guy, and there's some similar here, but, not like a governor or something, but, we get there, right? So, but these kids don't think they were in trouble or they were running away because they want to see the outside world, right? And, but then he says, "Nate, Mr. Geiger, what's wrong? We got your kids home safe. It's time for the night and me to turn around and go." "Go back to the night crawlers and scavengers and all that terrible things? Take a real look at this place. There's a diner, you see, a park, clean air. It was spared from the unknown war, it seems. Can we just stay just a little while?" "You don't know how these people will react to us, Nate." "That's so. Tell us why that may be, stranger," a voice says. So this guy comes in, and he says, "I'm Principal William Webb." And so what do you want? So these kids introduce them, right? They helped us home. "You three left town again?" Yeah, Dad, but... And I can get it for... What for? Well, we'll discuss this later, Beverly, but first, let's welcome our new guests. All right, so they're coming in, and it looks all right, right? You know, we have a community here, there's food, and there's gravy, mashed potatoes. Nate have questions about that. And Tariq says, excuse me, associate, for his excitement. We haven't come across the town so preserved. And so he explains basically that Grover's Corners survived because it was in a valley and how the wind blows. It protected them somehow from the radiations after the bombs were dropped, right? And with the bridge to the north gone, we are inaccessible except for the old tunnel you walk through. So over the years, we kept it hidden for the most part. Few know our town is still here. Save for my daughter and her friends, we don't venture out to stop from attracting the wrong kind of visitors. Of course, I don't mean you. Beverly, you saved them from the insects. I'm sorry for the trouble my daughter and her classmates caused you both. They don't understand. How can he, says Tariq. They're only kids. Curiosity is going to poison their young, impressionable minds. It's going to get them killed. So there's a conflict of interest here that is immediately present. So this guy says, hey, what's his name again? William. So William says, hey, why don't you stay tonight and maybe you'd like to come to the school and speak to the class. Tell them how horrible the world is outside of Grover's Corners. The death you've seen, the sickness and mutations. Deter them from leaving. Help me protect my children. As a father, it's all you live for. Right. So, and then we see Nate here in bed in his human form with his, well, he has a little bit of hair. He has cancer, right? And with his family, and his family brought him a book. But then he says, well, what is it? It's blank. And then, well, it burst into flames, and he as well. And, well, it's a nightmare. So he decides to stand up. He looks out of the window, and he sees the fire. And he hears a voice, Dad, don't. I warned you kids too many times, Beverly. Please, Dad. I have hard decisions to make. Gulliver's Travels, by the way. It's what a father does. Oh, no. It's why I'm burning your books. So the books is a big deal for Tariq, right? He loves books. It's his way of escaping the misery and all that stuff. You know, he likes books, just like I, and you probably are too, like comic books. I mean, if somebody did that to my face, my precious comics books, I would be going to a frenzy, I guess. Anyway, so Tariq comes to say, hey, what's going on? Why do you have a hood on? Those are children's books, classics, educational. So he says, hey, take the kids home. I'm talking to the glowing man. Don't worry about them. We love our children. Their punishment, it will only be extra chores. Punishment for what? They went scavenging for books. We don't allow books in this town. Why? He says. So he tells the story that he was, before the war, he was a firefighter, fresh out of the academy, 2 weeks on the job. So, and there was a town called Starkfield. It was swallowed by the radioactivity. So he and the company was sent out to help them. But those were not people anymore. They were mutated. Skin was blistered, face twisted in agony. Buildings were crumbling, still burning from the blast. There was no hope there, just suffering and madness. The worst part wasn't the destruction. It was the way the few survivors clung to what was left of their old lives, their habits, their memories of it. They wouldn't let go, even as the radiations ate them alive. They fought us when we tried to pull them out. The rest of all my company are all gone, most sick from the exposure that day. From my brother, years later, it was suicide. Changed my perspective. Grieves drives you to do things you never thought you'd do. But none of that explains the books. It's true. But then he persists. The old ways need to be forgotten. They need to be erased so that no one ever tries to rebuild what destroys us. Ideas are dangerous. So is ignorance, says Tariq. And then they have some kind of a stare off. But then Tariq says, these are not my kids. And this is my home. So he is going to Nate's. And he says, wake up. Get your zebra and your things. We're leaving. Where's the bag with our books? I left it on the desk, but the bag's empty. Yeah, he doesn't like that. So something's burning back there. They have it under control. You still haven't explained why we're leaving. Do I need to? I guess not. I was looking for the breakfast after all. But then the kids came back and says, hey, we want to come with you. This is your home, Beverly. We want to know what the world was like. No one tells us the truth. We know that. They change things. We read about it, but then Derrick says, "You're not safe here, not out there. Safe? No one is safe from the king." So they are being invaded by a new king. Well, the other one was the son of the queen. So now the next new king comes in and at least is to the next issue. Yeah, great stuff. What also, remember when comic pages has numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4? They don't have that anymore somehow. Anyway, so if you want to know more about the new king, you can pause the video and read it here. And this is also educational, by the way, because there's a lot of information that you don't see in the comics that I think, oh yeah, that makes sense, pieces of the puzzles. And yeah, so overall, this is a great book, I think, still. I have only positive things to say, except for the page count. And sometimes it can, well, if I must say something negative, sometimes it drags a little bit here, but that is probably part of the adventure. It feels like a AMC, like the Walking Dead kind of style of comic. They go from a place, they meet people or meet a danger, they get in contact, and then something happens, and he's being hunted. And we see that, through the whole book right now. And it seems that they never reach their destination. They probably will, but not in this book. And I don't mind, to be honest. And I wouldn't mind to have if I'm, have a TV series, I mean, it makes perfectly sense, but, special effects and all that. But yeah, like I said, it feels something like that. But overall, this is a great comic. I need to get to Red Coat as soon as possible. I ordered me a trade paperback. Not particularly interested in Hornsby and Halo or the Rockefellers. Could be fun, but this guy reminds me a little bit too much of Pedro Pascal, and I just cannot stand that guy anymore, right? I mean, if you look at it may be coincidence, but he is a person of... I don't want to go into that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you liked the video. Leave a like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and all that YouTube jazz, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.